Let's end this story once and for all. We have Captain America 408, the wrap-up issue for the Man and Wolf story arc, the Capwolf story, the final fate of Capwolf. And this issue presents the suggestion that there were too many ideas in Man and Wolf for the 6-part story to contain, and that we need an extra issue to properly do everything. This is a newsstand edition too. Part of me wants to go through my collection and replace all my newsstand copies with direct market ones. We start with Captain America, still a werewolf, and we have Sade, the smooth cap orator. We have Dr. Droom, we have Moonhugger, we have Man-Wolf, and we have editor Michael Rockford. Oh, and this ties into Affinity Wars too. Forgot to say that on the cover. That is ideal, isn't it? Have a tie into the big crossover that is wrapping up preposterous looking shit like Captain America being an Alsatian. The Affinity Wars tie-in is very light. We have one of Alan Moriarty's dark copies teleport in and try to replace Captain America. And so now we have Capwolf versus Cap Twin America. The doppelganger's shield is serrated. That is the most creative thing in this half of the issue. And the tie-in is so irrelevant that it is over by here. The copy is thrown into its own shield and it dies. The footnote over here pointing us to Affinity Wars actually implies this may be set after Affinity Wars. It says it is a refugee from Affinity Wars, which to me means that it escaped from Affinity Wars. It came from Affinity Wars. Whereas the replacement thing was right at the start of that story. And this is obviously set then. I was going to theorise on that, but we saw him teleport in. And that was Alan Moriarty. He was the one sending them. They couldn't teleport on their own. The only element that works to say this is set after Affinity Wars is that we do see a Captain America double in that story plenty. But that doesn't matter. Alan Moriarty replaced the ones that died. We see a few others that died in tie-in issues return in the main story. He created them. He could recreate or rebirth them easily. It doesn't matter that it died in this. Both restored to humans. Here we have maybe the most insulting part of this whole story. We went down this path with Captain America searching for his missing friend, his pilot, John James Simmons Jr. And one of the good things to come from the story could have been exploring their friendship or using it to progress or grow their connection with each other. A bad story like this could be worthwhile for what we get out of it. What we get here is he decides he is not going to be Captain America's pilot anymore. He's done. He is written out of the book. This story was to write him out of the book. He never shows up in it again. The story was wasting our time. We got nothing out of it. After this, he goes on to become Facade maybe, probably, I would say most definitely. He was the only viable solution that was dramatic. But that was a disaster of a mystery that no one cared about, so we never learned who Facade was. And so instead, John James Simmons was never revealed to have become a murderer. And so he dodged that bullet and gans to work at Ravenclaw, the budget Arkham, and we still don't know who Facade was. Captain America quickly replaces him with Moonhugger, the world's most unearned redemption arc right there. Moonhugger has done FA, and he's handed this great job without ever proving himself. We have a single-page subplot, or a single-page story. The way this issue is formatted, I think you could have slapped a title on this and called it another backup story. Dayman, Captain America's friend and former sidekick, is attacked by his Affinity Wiles double. Believe it or not, this creates a gigantic plot hole in the Affinity Wiles story. One of Alan Moriarty's failings, one of the things that led to his eventual defeat, was his lack of consideration for those that he considered pawns or distractions. He had this detailed, thorough, meticulous plan that took everything major into account. Galactus Man, Eternity, the Tribunal, Alan Watson, Thanius. But he never deemed to consider that someone as insignificant to him as Mr. Doom would ever be able to actually challenge him or even get anywhere near the heart of the matter. Now, in my review of the Sybil Savile tie-in issue, I mentioned this and the problem there wherein Alan Moriarty had apparently created a Mr. Doom double when the story hinges on him being unaware of or never considering Mr. Doom. But then, the existence of a Dayman double doesn't work because Dayman is so unbelievably low down on the chain. The idea that Alan Moriarty went as far to have a copy created for inactive honorary Avenger Dayman breaks the story so much. Like with the other latter parts of Capwolf, the highlight, again, is the backup feature with Red Skull Man's henchman. We have been pushing D-list villain Cuthbert into this position for the last few issues. He has realised that Red Skull Man's prisoner, Rachel Diamond, is actually his kid sister all grown up. Now, we have him with the conflict of either freeing his sister or continuing to serve his boss, who would most definitely have him killed for anything short of absolute loyalty. We cover here how he became Cuthbert, how he fell away from his family, his first appearance, and then how he ended up coming to work for Red Skull Man. So now is the time for me to do this in greater detail. Cuthbert first appeared in Spider-Man Team Up 89, Spider-Man and the Smurf. I cannot remember if that one is by Christopher Clairvoyant or Mark Spector. Oh shit, is this one available in the Marvel Masterworks? That might be a problem. This might not be available. The Marvel Masterworks, RIP, was stalled with Spider-Man Team Up because of the Red Sonja issue. Anyway, In this story, which was either by Christopher Clairvoyant or Mark Spector, he was the villain. He was completely unnoteworthy. He was trying to kill the two heroes. It is later established that he is a knife guy. He is a bladed weapons expert. But in that original story, he never uses one. He only uses a gun. To be honest, he was the definition of someone that belonged at the bar massacre. Spider-Man Team Up was filled with characters that should have been. Many years later, he returned in Captain America 395 by Marky Mark J. He was trying out to get work from Red Skull Man. He was auditioning for Mother Superior, and the test put him into life or death combat with the other applicants, which were Deathstroke from Spider-Girl 39 and Mangala from the Unlimited Class Wrestling Federation. It's honestly a great reintroduction to a character nobody really remembered. For all intents and purposes, it is a new character, but it automatically carries a little bit of weight by being a guy that appeared once before. Same applies to his opponents, Deathstroke and Mangala. It wasn't easy, but Cuthbert emerges the winner, the only one left alive. And so from that, he becomes one of Red Skull Man's operatives, and he has been for a few issues. Marky Mark J had a real gift for dusting off hard characters and reinventing them at this point in his run. I also need to mention he did appear in issue 400 as part of Rachel Diamond's backstory. We didn't know at the time, but we do see her other brothers, and one of them is Cuthbert, or who becomes Cuthbert. I have spent ages talking about Cuthbert because this is his story. He is the one that we are pushing to do stuff here. And there are a few more obstacles or complications in his way. First, I didn't cover this in the history because there's very little example of it. But Cuthbert has started an affair with Mother Superior. She is Red Skull Man's suffering love slave. And Cuthbert doing this is something that would also more than likely result in Red Skull Man having him killed. Although Red Skull Man doesn't care an inch about Mother Superior, he would still order Cuthbert killed for doing so. There's also Bane. Bane is who had captured and brought his sister here, and Bane is out to prove himself to Red Skull Man after Red Skull Man fired him for insubordination. Bane wants to prove how valuable he is to Red Skull Man, and that Red Skull Man doesn't really need all these other flunkies like Cuthbert when he has Bane. Bane also has shared history with Cuthbert from that backstory in 400. But Bane doesn't seem to even recognise him, which maybe makes it even better. That night, Cuthbert sneaks into Bane's room and tries to take care of a problem by killing him. But Bane wasn't surprised. He springs to defence and he fights Cuthbert. And the art for the backups in Captain America is sometimes ropey, but I think this sequence is good. It is accomplishing exactly what it wanted to. And then we have the outcome of the skirmish, which is Bane skewered his would-be assassin on their own swords. Cuthbert tried to grab some redemption. He tried to, finally, protect his sister from Bane. But he fell on his sword. That is what Bane says. It's an iconic line, at least to me. They ask him what happened here, and he says, he tripped over and fell on his sword. I would love to tell you that's it for Cuthbert, but now I get to tell you about all the usual stuff I ate. He showed up alive in the background of a Michael Bryan Benson comic. No explanation, no acknowledgement, he didn't even have lines of dialogue. He was just pointlessly in the background, undoing this very definitive death. And it's a character that there is no need to revive. It's unnecessary to undo his only real story so he can be background fodder. The Andy books try to cover for this. God bless them. They tried to do this with so many of these cases. Benson would always have dead villains in the background. They say that SHIELD had been falsely reporting the deaths of several supervillains, such as Cuthbert, and then throwing them in prisons while everyone thinks they are dead. There's ones where the idea works, but it doesn't with Cuthbert. Next issue confirms he is dead. All these villains confirm he is dead. And then they bury him somewhere that his body would never be found. For starters, even if by chance they all missed that he was still breathing, he would die from being buried alive. How did SHIELD ever find where he was buried and find it in time to save his life? How did anyone know he was dead in the first place? The only people who know what happened are all villains. Rachel Diamond would maybe suspect something, but that's not enough to then go, oh, he is alive and in prison, and SHIELD falsely reported his death, which was a death we saw on panel, and didn't involve SHIELD at all. And get this, the only appearance after his return is in a story in Wolfman's bisexual emo son Gerard's solo series, where Cuthbert is on a team of villains, and at the end of the story he ends up dead. He dies off panel. That's worth undoing this for, isn't it? Our last story here is Falcon Man. The all-new Falcon Man. He had been redesigned in that year's Captain America annual, and now we have brought him back into the main title. I will talk about him more in the next issue, but Marky Mark J never knew what to do with Falcon Man, and the redesign motivates him to include him more going forward. We have a little bit with him and Moonhugger, but the story's main objective is reuniting Captain America and Falcon Man, and then also acting as an explanation for when recent crossovers took place, Affinity Wars, Operation Galaxy Quest, and Citizen Kronos all happened nearly in tandem. And this is meant to say, yeah, all of that has happened. Dr. Drew makes another appearance on this page, stood centimetres away from two women he mentally enslaved. Redemption, Moonhugger style. This is a mess. It is all over the place. The villain vignette is good. The first is very lame. And the last one, needless. Next issue could have started with that. We didn't need a backup feature to set up Falcon Man. Beginning an issue with him would be stronger. I think I need to give this issue somewhere near 7 thumbs up.